Same as last week. When Google Android can see that I'm recording videos, a few minutes in, 7, 8, 10 minutes in, they kill the video. So I have to start all over again. The title of this video is UK Skint Dole Law versus Texas Law. We're all recording here now. This will go through there, but they always do it to me like the first time or the first two times. I was just sitting here, and even though I'm not in the network, I'm just recording. They have the ability to control this phone because I'm using Android. And I'll show you my face in a minute. I prefer backlit shit because I'm a glaucomic. The title of this video, because I really want to get on to talking about Nicola, the Dole recipient and chatline weirdo, but I need this as a explanation as to why she's not in prison or in a hostel, which is a prison thing anyway. This is UK law versus Texas law. I'm not going to compare it to other states because Texas is the best place in the world to be if you want to defend your home, your person, your car, your property, anything else. And in the UK, there are a bunch of vaginas from start to finish. You know, I started years ago with UK bouncers. That's where I found out I could actually show a soft penis. I'm going to do that probably sometime today. Yeah, from a chatliner. But that's, and recently in the last 2 months I've been binging. I've racked up over 340 or 50 hours of watching the videos that are not polished by that turd polisher, BBC. BBC always sweeps away the grit and the grime and always edits everything down where they don't show the vulgar language and the thieving and the other. So, once again, this is UK law versus Texas law. And like I say, why do you need glasses, which I didn't even bother to bring out, when you have a bottle? Oh Lord, I'm about 1.3 liters into that bottle. I'm going to pick up that camera in a minute and show you my face, but to begin with, because I've been up since 6 a.m. It's now almost 3:30 p.m. at Texas on August 23rd, and you know what? The people in town, they're sweating and griping and bitching because they're concrete hillbillies. And I live out here in the country. I'm under the shade trees and stuff like that, where the trees are sucking water 80, 90 feet out of the ground and dropping it on. Right where I'm at right now, it's only like 86, 80. It's only slightly above skin temperature. Okay? That's why I'm not sweating. If you look at my armpits, you won't see any. You see any sweat on that shirt? No. Okay. Let's proceed on. This is about the fact that I've now seen hundreds of case law histories about like the Dole recipients and other people in the UK. And I want to start off by comparing it to, like last night, my best buddy, who's a criminal defense attorney, because the one thing I can count on him while we still remain best friends is that I can say anything. He reads everything. He knows that I know that I will send him, thousands of words of texts and pictures and links and stuff like that. But I don't expect him to respond because one of the few times he has a chance to respond is when he's in court, because only attorneys are allowed to have an active cell phone in court. The rest of you are not. So, and he's got a large family. He's caring for his aging, near the cemetery parents. He's got a son and daughter-in-law and 2 new grandchildren and stuff like that. so his life's pretty busy. So I have to try to, fit my life into his. Okay. And he's actually, to my knowledge, Bruno is the most successful public defender in all of Texas, because actually he got that reputation thanks to me 23 years ago when we whipped the worst lying cops, mayors, DAs, judges. Okay. Just last night, Bruno actually, after I sent him a few texts about various things, he said, "Sorry, I've been mired down in a case that was just really, the prosecutor was going for a minimum of 15 years to life, which means it was a serious charge. I don't know what that is. It was either a second-degree homicide or child molestation. Actually, when it comes to child molestation, Bruno ain't gonna exactly be your best friend, okay?" He represented one guy who couldn't keep his mouth shut, and he insisted on defending himself in court. And Bruno, when he finally got rid of that sumbitch, because once he's clear, he can tell me. But the one great thing about Bruno is he's never broken confidentiality on any of his cases ever to me. I can ask him a question, he'll just be silent. And he had this one guy who had been raping his 8 to 9 to 10-year-old stepdaughter and stuff like that, but insisted, even though Bruno said, "Don't get on the stand, dude. I can maybe get you only 10 years." And you know what? He insisted on testifying and telling his story about how that little sexy little girl was lying and all this. You know how much the fucker got? 186 years under Texas law. That's the difference between Texas law and UK law. Here, we have the right, to not only own a firearm, to carry it, to also carry switchblades, and now, under recent laws, just this year, those 8-foot-long bladed chain belts that can slash up and keep 20 people, at least 8 to 12 feet away from you. We've always had the right to own flamethrowers. God, I love Texas. You losers. Yeah. Let me back up, because this is really all about, I'm trying to lead up to brain dead Chet Liner, and I've tracked her down to Walsall, England, which is rated the third worst city in England to live. Which, if you can beat Merthyr Tydfil down in Wales, you're really bad. I'll get to that later. So, anyway, I've, starting a little years ago, I started watching the UK bouncers, and who were skilled fighters like me, who would just knock a drunk, because see, drunk people have no balance. One good pop, get the head twisted, and they're down. But in the last couple of months, I've been watching into the skint people. This is all about UK law, skint, dull people versus Texas law. And all those shoplifters that go on YouTube and proudly proclaim that they're a shoplifter but proud in the United Kingdom, even though they've had multiple ASBOs, as they call them, antisocial behavioral orders that block them from entire cities. They have to go to other parts of England to shoplift. I want to stop right there and point out this one shoplifting woman that I watched last night, who appeared on Good Morning in England, which I think is actually BBC. And she had not only admitted to stealing probably tens of millions of goods, of which she made several $1,000,000 that kept her daughter and wealth her whole life. And then she had written a book which she was planning to profit off of greatly. You know, here in the United States, you UK Brit, commie, you know, pro-Brexit. I'm sorry, I'm going to bend over here because I just dropped my cigarettes. You losers. You see, here in the United States, if you commit crimes, you cannot write a book or participate in the making of a movie in which you profit. There's only certain... You can become a consultant to the movie. Yeah, they'll allow that. You'll get $100,000 or $2,000. But this woman was actually trying to sell a book about her life and her skills as a shoplifter in Britain, which is legal, apparently. It's not legal here. This is Texas, where we brought in years ago the Castle Doctrine, stand your ground, legalized switchblades outside of your house, the 8-foot wraparound knifed chains, I don't know the correct name for them, that can keep everybody at 12, 15 feet away. You can keep 20 feet away from you, 20 people away from you just by swinging it endlessly. And we've always had legalized flamethrowers to burn the needles off of nopalitos so our cattle can eat them. I love Texas because we're the only state in the union where we don't have to retreat. We get to kill you, unlike England. England's a mess. UK law, based on my case law observance, I've watched these horrendous cases where tenants from other countries, mostly Africa, Gypsy, Muslim, and that's just the facts. You can't deny the facts. They run up these gigantic bills. They fight evictions. They even get violent against the high court enforcement bailiffs, etc. And the cops just release them within minutes after they... You know, in England, you literally have to murder somebody to even have some gay guy come from the corner of the courtroom and come over and slap your wrist and say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you." And that's all you get. I've watched these welfare fraud people who are, I'm not sure if Nicola fits into that yet, but I'll get to it. I've seen them commit hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fraud, property damage, etc., and the court gives them 8 weeks in jail, commuted to, after 2 weeks, to a hostel where they can't drink except outside or smoke dope or do meth outside. They can come in and sleep. You know, the United Kingdom is the most pussy country on this planet. You're responsible for all. You and the labor communists are responsible for all the problems that you have right now. And Theresa May, the conservatives, just like Donald Trump, you're no better. Theresa May universal credit was a huge disaster. I'll devote an entire episode about that later, about universal credit, Hartlepool, as they pronounce it, and other stuff. But when you compare UK law here, when you lay hands on a bailiff, you go to fucking prison for 5 to 10 years just for touching him. If you laid hand on a high court enforcement bailiff here, you're looking at 5 to 10, buddy. You do what they do in Britain. Here, you're looking at 20 to life. UK law is the law of sissies and communists and cultural Marxists. This is the end of this episode.